Hello, I'm Jon Stapleton with CodeVA, and this is a tutorial about conditions and variables in the Twine Chapbook story format, or rather, conditionally set variables. That's the topic. Uh, let's jump right into it. So, if you are creating a story and you know about if statements in Twine, which link in the description if you don't know about if statements, go check that out. Then you might be wondering to yourself, can I have Twine set a variable value based on a condition? If you're used to other programming languages, that's really common. That's like a thing a lot of programming languages can do. And you can't do it in the normal way in Twine Chapbook because in Twine, or rather in the Chapbook story format, if statements have to do with hiding or revealing text. There is a way to have Twine Chapbook modify a variable based on a condition, but it happens in a different section of the code, and there's slightly different notation. So I'm going to show you how to do that using this story as an example. So I've got a story here. It's called A Dark Room, and there's a bunch of if statements here. Let's just just test this out and make sure it's all working okay. Oh, I have some repetition here and my if statements aren't working. I'm gonna remove that option. There we go. All right, so I've got all these different options for different light sources. I've got lantern, flashlight, torch, and these are all items that, in the future of this example, I would eventually add, and I would have the code modify this variable, and then when the reader returns to the room, they'd be able to use the different light sources. So, for example, if the reader found lantern and the computer modified that variable value, I could light my lantern, which is nice. So we've got this if and unless kind of sequence here, which is great. Now, the challenge here, and maybe it's a small challenge, is this is just a lot of code, and all of the different options are sort of spread out. If they have a lantern, I want to say light your lantern. If it says flashlight, I want to say turn on your flashlight. And if it says torch, I want to ignite your torch. So each option has a different set of text and a different variable value that I'm checking for. So there's a bunch of different if statements. That's totally fine to do, but there is a way you can do this. It's like slightly simpler by using a conditionally set variable. And that's what I'm going to add here. To make a conditionally set variable, we're going to make the variable in sort of the normal way. I'll call it light text because that's, and I'll have light text refer to this. And we're going to set light text to whatever we want the light text to be. So light your lantern is the light text for the lantern. However, we only want light text to equal light your lantern if light source equals lantern. In order to make that happen, I'm going to put an expression in parentheses. And this expression is going to be that. If the variable called light source is equal to lantern, then the variable called light text will get this light your lantern value. You can see we have a relational expression in the parentheses, which means in this context, Twine will only set the light text variable to this value if the relational expression in the parentheses is true. That's how that notation works. It's a little bit tricky, a little hard to read, which means I get to simplify my code a little bit. I can say if light text, then we'll just insert the light text right there. Else, there we go, search the room. So this if statement is much simpler than it was before because we're using a variable and this. And now all we have to do is add the rest of our conditionally set variables. So I'm actually just going to copy. We have 3 possible options. We had flashlight and torch, and each of the light texts for these options is slightly different. Turn on your flashlight, ignite your torch. Great. 3 conditionally set variables. Each one will set the value of light text with a different thing. And I think I'll also, at the beginning, I'll just give light text a initial value. Light text false, just so that we don't end up with any errors. Okay. So now let's check it out. So right now light source is false. So we should see search the room because we only get this option if light text has a value. So let's do that. Test. Beautiful. Search the room. We got it. Nice. Okay. Now I'm going to change light source. And, in my real story, I would have the computer modify the variable at a certain point after the reader visits a passage. If you want to see that, check out modifying variables. It's a tutorial linked in the description. Great. So now let's change this to one of the options. We'll say lantern. Oh, I have problems. Oh, I forgot to close my curly brackets. There we go. Test. There it is. Light my lantern. If I change light source to flashlight, the computer will see this one is false, so it won't do light your lantern. It will see this one is false, so it won't do ignite your torch, but it'll see this one is true, so it will do turn on your flashlight. So let's test from the intro. Turn on flashlight. Beautiful. And finally, just to see all of it, let's do torch. Ignite your torch. It's lots of little customization things. I like this as an alternative to lots of if statements because it just makes it a little bit easier to read in the code. Like this expression, that's a little tricky. I'm not gonna pretend it's not. It's there's some downsides, but it's just another option, another way to express what's happening in the code. So that is everything you need to know about conditionally set variables. If you have any questions or you run into any problems implementing conditionally set variables, please get in the comments of this video. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to help out. You can also check out the link in the description to the text-based version of this tutorial. There's code examples, additional ideas for how to implement conditionally set variables, like when to use them, and also links to other topics I've discussed in this video if you want to go back and check those out as well, all in the Twine Trail Guide, which is available online for free. You can just check it out and let us know how it goes. With that, that's the end. Good luck and happy coding.